Hi, I'm Jason Berniak, and this is Experience CTN, where we're going to learn more about CTN volunteers and producers who supported community media over the past years. I'm with Pete Poirier and Nick Wisniske of our sports broadcasting crew who brings each and every game to us on CTN. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on.
Hi, Jason.
Thanks for having us.
So, sports in general, like we kind of cover not just football or basketball, we cover kind of whole range of sports. Can one of you guys or both of you guys kind of break down what we do as far as CTN Sports goes?
Well, I think we try and get a cross-section of the entire high school sports spectrum. You know, we try and cover a little bit of both boys and girls sports, so that at least all of the people in the Ann Arbor viewing area can see their kids and the different sports that the Ann Arbor high schools offer.
This guy's such a pro using words like cross-section and spectrum. I mean, it's so good. But he's completely right. You know, the Ann Arbor schools out here have so many different programs. They're excellent. I mean, you get things like water polo, which you're not going to get in a lot of communities. And like Pete said, we're seeing a little bit of everything. It's basketball, it's hockey, it's football, it's water polo, lacrosse. The list goes on. It's a lot of fun.
Pete, you've been here since 1994. Can you go through some of the changes throughout the year that CTN Sports has engaged on? Just a little sample. I know just the last 4 or 5 years it's changed a lot.
It really has developed, even in professional terms, not necessarily in front of the camera, but behind the camera is really where I saw a lot of development. I mean, our first game was a softball game between the Ann Arbor News and Ann Arbor City Hall. And basically, they did it with a couple of handheld cameras and a 8-foot banquet table. And all the stuff was carted in on the back of a pickup truck. Now we have a state-of-the-art truck that has all the equipment in it. And you're well aware of it, Jason. Setup and breakdown is much quicker and much easier than it used to be. In the past, it was hours and hours of setup and breakdown time. Now it's much quicker, much easier, and it looks better, too. Now we're broadcasting in high definition and widescreen, and the technology has really advanced to a great deal. And of course, before it was only available on the channels, and now you can see it on the interweb, and there's several different sources where you can see the broadcast now.
And one of our new features, and Nick, you're in it a lot with our intros, with either introducing the game itself or one of the coaches. Kind of how do you prepare for that and for those interviews or for post-game interviews as well?
Well, for any of the pre-game stuff, the setup, you know, I always make sure to get in contact with one or both of the coaches ahead of time, have a quick phone call with them, discuss the team, discuss the players, the rivalry, things like that, so I can kind of get a feel for where their season's at and kind of give the audience as decent of a preview as we can moving forward. And then I suppose for the after interview, you know, you just kind of get a feel for how the game went. You know, you're taking notes. Obviously, we're paying attention up there. So you're taking notes along the way and have a couple of quick talking points. And it's a pretty cool feature, too.
So is there any favorite game or memory in particular that stood out to you? Just recently we shot a basketball game that was actually very exciting. It was down to the wire. But is there any other games or memories of the sports history that you guys have on CTN that stick out to you?
We did a men's Pioneer basketball game from the campus of Ann Arbor Pioneer High School. And it was an exciting game with Huron. It came down to a last-second shot, and the Pioneer player hit the shot at home, and the place went so crazy I couldn't hear myself broadcast. It was so loud. It was just exciting. Fun to do games like that where it comes down to the final shot, and the crowd's really into it. There's a lot of energy coming from the crowd, and again, the noise level was just unbeatable.
Nick, do you have a particular memory that stands out at all?
I mean, honestly, the first thing that I can think of off the top of my mind, and it's nothing as great viewing as what Pete mentioned, but just the first game that I called here. It was about 4.5 years ago now. It was a hockey game. It was Pioneer and Huron, and man, I was nervous. I was nervous, and you know, I got in there. I wanted to make an impression on everybody. I wanted to make an impression on the crew, this guy who I'd never even met before. But you know, it moved pretty nicely. Again, Pete's such a pro. He helped me out so much, and I saw just like a great crew doing their job, and I'll never forget that night. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. And not necessarily a follow-up question, but Nick, you're an instructor. You have a background at Specs Howard. That's how we know each other even prior to it. How does it feel when you see like people that you've helped out, with students or come back? Because I know one of our other hosts and talent, Matthew Drake, he's a Specs grad as well. So how do you relate, like, when you know that someone from the classroom is out in the field?
I mean, it's great. It's everything that we enjoy teaching for. Being able to help people out, help them, get them their start on their career and hopefully their dreams, what they're trying to do. So it's really cool to see guys like you, guys like Matt, interns, people at the Ann Arbor radio stations as well. I'll bump into here and there as Specs grads. It's really cool to go from like, hey, here's this person who might not know that much about the business, and then here they are a year and a half later, they're out there doing cool stuff.
And Pete, since you started out, what got you into the business as far as like your love and passion of starting broadcasting sports?
Well, I've always loved sports since I was a young kid. I grew up in Detroit. I went to Eastern Michigan. I was in a program of study I wasn't happy with. I decided to take a look at the book of study and find something that I really wanted to do. And broadcasting was about the only thing that I found that really interested me. So I went to Eastern Michigan for broadcasting, and I interned here in the Ann Arbor area. I got a job at Ann Arbor's AM 1050 WTKA, and through that, through Lucy Ann Lance, who worked at the station as well, and she worked here. That's how I got in over here, was that connection to through radio.
Gotcha. And Nick, and how'd you get involved? I know you had a TV background, but how'd you get into sports broadcasting?
Well, similarly to Pete, I was at school, University of Michigan Dearborn. I think I was in my 5th year there, and they finally made me to decide an actual major. And a friend of mine said, you like sports, like why don't you look more into this? And got the communication degree, graduated from there, and then I'd worked in Dearborn's local government access television station. I'm still technically there, so I've been there for 10 years, but I produced and hosted a sports show there. And again, like Pete said, so much of this business is who you know. Another producer here at the station put in my name for doing play-by-play in color, and here I am here.
Excellent. I believe we have a clip of both you guys in the intro there. We're going to get it queued up and take a look.
Hello, welcome to CTN Sports Game of the Week. I'm with Nick Wisniske. I'm Pete Poirier, and we have water polo for you here, Nick. It's Pioneer and Skyline, and a couple of issues in tonight's matchup. Got a lot of replacements on the Skyline side. What are we looking at tonight?
A lot of replacements, you're right, Pete. This team returning state champions for water polo, for boys water polo here in the state of Michigan. However, they are returning their senior goalkeeper, who was first team All-State, as well as another player, Mateo Prokop, who was the player of the year for Michigan water polo last year. So Skyline is still looking strong. They still got some excellent players. However, host Pioneer here, no slouches either. They've got an outstanding goaltender as well in Court Middleton. Should see a good game here today.
Well, we got a great matchup on tap for you tonight here on CTN Sports. We got a quick lead-in from Kevin Bryant previewing the water polo this year. We'll be right back with more right here on CTN Sports.
All right, thank you guys. As you can tell in the background, there is water polo being played there. I would say it's the underrated sport that we cover. I would say it's the most, actually kind of pretty aggressive game of the sports there. What are some of the surprises of like maybe that sport or some of the other sports that not basketball, football, that most sports are covered? Can you describe like some of those sports that brings it, that we bring it out at CTN Sports?
Well, the thing, at least about water polo for me, was how exciting it can be, how up and down the action can be. The periods are very short. They're only about 7 or 8 minutes long, and the kids cannot stop moving. If they stop, if they touch the bottom, that's a foul. So they have to be continuously moving. And that was something that kind of surprised me. And the fact that really the scoring can be back and forth with it in water polo can be very high scoring. And that's kind of what surprised me about that sport.
Nick, do you have a particular sport or like that we bring out as far as like it's a little underrated?
I mean, again, I have to go with what Pete said about the water polo, both the men's and the women's in the high schools. All 3 schools here on Pioneer and Skyline are all really competitive on both sides. So it's always really fun to watch that. And, you watch some other sports, like lacrosse. It's kind of up and coming in this country. A lot of folks really don't know about it, and the fact that we cover it and we'll show it, it's pretty fun.
No, I don't want to leave anyone behind. We do have a third member of the team. We do have Kevin, who has a background in Ann Arbor sports. Give a little bit of love for him, a little bit of shout out, like what he brings to the table. Pete, I know you work with him a little bit more in the booth with him. What does he bring to the table?
Well, Kevin Bryant, his background is similar to mine. He actually went to AM 1050 WTK after I was there. So he spent some time in radio, and then I know that he went into the sales department there as well. The thing about Kevin is he has such a passion for sports, especially some of the, like basketball. He loves basketball. And you can just hear it in his voice when you're listening or watching a game. You can hear how excited he is to actually be there and do a game when you listen to him and listen to his analysis during a game.
I believe we have a clip with you and Kevin introing a game. If we can get that played, we'll take a look.
And welcome to CTN Sports Game of the Week. I'm Pete Poirier along with Kevin Bryant. And we got volleyball tonight. We've got Pioneer and the visiting Skyline Eagles. Kevin, what are we looking at tonight's matchup?
Well, in case one of these balls hits us, I'm going to have some eyes behind my head. But for tonight's matchup, Pete, it's a crosstown rivalry. It's one of those matches that for Skyline, they're getting some of their injured players back, so hopefully they can rectify something that we saw on the CTN Game of the Week last week and maybe come away with the victory. And then for the flip side, on Pioneer, protect this house. It's going to be middle and elementary school nights. So you're going to have a lot of energy in the building. For Coach Amy Longhigh, she's looking for a win tonight.
All right, we got that match on tap right here. We're going to take a break and be back with the opening match right here on CTN Sports.
There's Kevin and Pete on the helm there. One of the new aspects to it as well that we like to feature is the instant replay. I'm kind of the eye in the sky as far as it goes when I do shoot sports games. Come on now. The different sports that we have to offer. So how useful is the replay to you guys getting another view, and how is that another dimension to the sports broadcast?
Well, if you watch any kind of national broadcast and kind of pay attention to the frequency of a replay, it comes up a lot. And we try and replicate that. We try and make it so that you're watching as professional a broadcast on CTN as you would on ESPN or any of the national networks. And I think the replay is really integral to that. It allows us to break down a play that has just happened. You can see an inbounds, out of bounds call. You can see a foul. You can see there's so many different things you can utilize with the replay, and the fact that you guys can slow it down in the truck and get a really good look at a previous play that's happened and kind of be really able to describe the play. And really that's where the color guys come in, where they can look at those replays. And Nick could probably expand on that a little bit more than I can.
Yes, please do, Nick.
Well, I mean, again, everything that Pete said is once again spot on. And, you know, the CTN crew does such a great job. Such a great job of getting those angles, making them worthwhile for the replay, first of all. And then, like Pete said, slowing them down so myself, Kevin, Pete can take a closer look at it, break these things down for the audience. And again, you know, camera angles, the director finding those quality plays and telling us, hey, we're going to run this back in a minute, here you go, just speaks to the high production value, what's going on here at CTN.
And we do occasionally catch something the refs called one way or another, or something that might be questionable. We do catch those from time to time that adds a wrinkle to high school sports I think gets missed out quite often. You were talking about, you know, setting up in there. We do have our director who's the master commander in the truck there. Can you give us a little bit of word about our director, Rob Cross?
If I had to describe Rob with one word, it'd be colorful. Rob really makes doing a game enjoyable from a perspective of, from what I get is I can understand what he's trying to get when he's looking at the different camera angles and what he's trying to present to the viewer. You know, we're just describing the action. He's the one painting the picture back in the truck of what you see. If he wasn't there showing people what to see, there would be nothing to look at. And he picks out the best pictures that make it the most professional production that CTN can bring.
And he adds a little bit of a value, you know, off the behind the scenes too. I mean, he does make it a little bit, you know, lighthearted and makes it. He sees more things than once, and he likes to bring that attention. But he also makes it fun and entertaining for you guys as well.
And again, you know, something that a lot of folks, if you're just watching the broadcast at home, they don't realize how much is going on behind the scenes. It's not until you really get in there, when you're on the headsets, you're talking to the camera operators, they're talking back to you, and then the director has got the whole thing, you know, under his watch. And yeah, I mean, again, Rob's he's so fun. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, he's a pro. He's been doing this for a while. He's really good at it, but he just makes it a good time.
And then we do have other aspects to it, like I think we are doing HD now, and a lot of it's YouTube. Have you seen like a good response on that as far as our use of using it, our HD broadcast on YouTube? As far as like getting feedback from that, or have you been clicking and watching, seeing how many likes and or how many views have you guys gotten?
I mean, I'm a narcissist. I'll start. Yeah, I watch just about everything that I call, and probably half the stuff that you and Kevin do. It helps me as being a professional, seeing what's going on. But yeah, I pay attention to the comments that are made. I pay attention to the way that everything's broken down, and it's a great tool because, again, I don't live in Ann Arbor, so pre-internet days, this stuff would have been broadcast, and I would have went home and that would have been it, or somebody would have put it on a VHS copy for me or something like that, or burned me a DVD. Now, as soon as it's posted, I find out through CTN's Twitter. I can click the link, go right to it, and on my lunch or at night, I can open it up, and it's great. It's an amazing tool.
And that's the best thing about the social media is it allows us to stay in contact with the product that we put out.
And you're always trying to find a new way to say stunning or fantastic high definition.
Get out the thesaurus. Take a look at that.
Both you guys can chime in on this. Why should someone check out CTN Sports or check out CTN in general?
I mean, again, the production value is really high for any station. What you guys do is really, really good stuff. All the camera operators, the director, again, you talked about having the high quality, high definition, breathtaking high definition on the internet. It's worth watching. It's worth seeing, definitely.
And, by comparison, check out in other cities, community access. The ones that I've seen, a lot of them there isn't any live programming. It's just a lot of banners and public announcements. It's not really any type of production. And here you've got 4 stations of production, which I think is a unique and really fun experience here.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming out of the booths and behind the scenes and coming on to the show.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for having
me. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Experience CTN. In the meantime, why come in and experience CTN yourself? Email ctn@a2gov.org for more info. To watch other CTN programs, visit us online at a2gov.org/watchctn, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at CTN Ann Arbor. I want to thank our crew, Matthew Drake, Alicia May, Robert Horn, Justin Wright, and Rich Musso. I'm your host, Jason Broniak, and see you next time.